Hello everyone, my name is Andrew Games and I am the Artistic Director of APG Films and the creator of Dandilicious. What a crazy year this has been, and it feels strange to address the audience like this. The last time I did this was probably a year ago with our 4 years in the making short that we did, which gave people a little recap of what we were up to then. I'd like to take this time to thank you all for joining me today on this video. As I'm sure you are aware, the news has been out for almost a month now. The film has finally wrapped up after 4 years in total in production. 2 of those years filming, we have finally finished Dandilicious. Principal photography was wrapped up in November and we were able to finally finish all the scenes. And as I'm sure you've probably seen and heard from a few reports over the year on the internet, the film was originally supposed to be released, well now really, if it wasn't for the global pandemic. In this video we're going to be talking about the future of the film, distribution, where to see the film and what to expect, as well as some alternative ideas, some guidelines I guess we need to follow as well, which we'd rather inform you guys about too. Before we do that, let's go back in time just very quickly and just go through a little bit by bit, milestone by milestone timeline of our journey thus far, getting us right here to the end. Writing commenced in 2016, but filming didn't start till 2018. That is May 2018 when we started filming. On April 23rd, 2019, a trailer was released attached with a Kickstarter campaign to help us finish the rest of the film, which, thanks to you guys, you've been able to help us get to that bit at the end. The schedule was consistent, everything was going smoothly. We had wrapped up most of the film until early 2020. We had all of our final shoots lined up and scheduled, and then what happened? COVID-19, the global pandemic, the lockdown was announced, and it was a devastating thing. People lost their jobs, people were furloughed, lives were lost. It was a very hard time, and this film was severely affected. For 4 months, we couldn't film Dandilicious. In June of 2020, we were able to go back in production again, albeit with a limited number of people on set. So usually we have about 12 people on set, especially with the bigger shoots. But with the government regulations, we had to condense that down from 12 to 6, which meant that the shoots were going to be longer, it was going to be more stressful. Some of us had to multitask. It was slow, it was dragging, it was expensive, and we did wonder, were we going to finish the film at all? Fast forward to November, we did the last shoot of the film. The coronavirus affected the film in many ways. It affected its schedule, it affected the number of people on set at any one time. It even affected the budget. There were some scenes we were going to do which we had to completely scrap, and we had to evaluate, out of all the scenes left to do, which ones, you know, we had to prioritize over others. And there were not as many as I thought there would be, but there were still quite a lot of scenes we had to completely remove from the schedule in order to get us to the finish line without it disrupting the story or the characters in any way, shape or form. It was very disappointing. There were quite a few scenes I was looking forward to filming, a lot of actors I was looking forward to working with as well, but hopefully those working relationships will materialise in the future in a COVID-free world. I want to take this time to thank the people for being patient with us as well during the global pandemic. All of this has been completely out of our control. The whole industry has been suffering. 𝘍𝘓𝑍, a franchise, one of the biggest franchises in the world, has suffered a lot. Peaky Blinders has suffered a lot. There's been so many mainstream productions that have suffered from this pandemic. And if they've suffered, the mainstream projects, then the independent projects are going to be suffering as well. They're going to be no exception. We were no exception. And it was difficult, but we got there. And in order to get here now in a global pandemic is a miracle. So that's what we've been up to. That's been the journey thus far for this film. But now I'd like to talk to you about distribution, which I understand a lot of people have been wanting to know about. They wanted to know when the film is coming out, where it's coming out, how they can watch it. So we're going to disclose all of those things today. So the first thing I want to talk about and feel I need to disclose is probably the most asked question by our audience, which is regarding the film being seen in cinemas and indoor venues and facilities. This was part of the plan. We wanted the film to be seen in cinemas. There are independent cinemas who were interested in screening the film once it was wrapped up and would have had a screening at their facilities for a few days. And we were able to find at least one cinema in each big city in the UK. As of this moment, especially during the recording of this video, as it stands, that is not likely at all that is going to happen. As the government rules and regulations stand, there are no indoor gatherings allowed in this country until further notice with the global pandemic. I find that very disappointing. I'm a huge sucker for films being seen on the big screen. That's where I feel films belong. I'm an advocate, I guess, for films to be seen on the big screen, and not even to be seen, but to be experienced. And I wanted Dandilicious to be experienced by our audience. Of course, just on a side note, for the people who pledged for Tier 3, yes, I know we're all sick of hearing about tiers now, but for those who pledged for Tier 3 in the Kickstarter campaign in 2019, the reward for Tier 3 was to see the film with the cast and crew in a private screening. Obviously, this applies with the problems with indoor screenings with big gathering groups. This is, at least as of this moment, during the recording of this video, that is not going to be possible at all. And for those who've pledged for Tier 3, the obvious question is, what is the alternative to that then? As of this moment, we are planning an alternative for that reward in the Tier 3 for the Kickstarter, and we want it to be as special and as exciting and as exclusive as the original reward would have been. For those who pledged, we will contact you privately regarding that alternative reward. So keep an eye on your emails. So Dandilicious, as of this moment, cannot be seen in a cinema or a big venue with big gatherings of people. So what is the alternative to that for the general audience? Like a lot of films this year that were originally supposed to be released in cinemas, the alternative is online streaming and download distribution. The biggest advantage we would have regarding online distribution is the fact that our audience will be able to watch the film from the comfort of their own home, safe and sound, without the risk of being exposed to the virus. Some of the platforms we had in mind for the online distribution are the likes of Amazon Prime, video on demand, pay-per-view, so on and so forth. A lot of people have asked whether Dandilicious would be available on platforms such as YouTube. This would definitely be the case. There's a lot of films that you can rent and buy on YouTube. This is only possible through a distributor similar to the likes of Amazon Prime and Netflix and other video on demand platforms. So You will find out about that once we have found a distributor, whether the film would be available on YouTube as well. We understand there are a lot of people within our audience who are either not technically savvy or prefer tangible media such as DVDs and Blu-ray, and have asked whether Dandilicious would be available on any of those platforms at all, and if it's something that they could own physically. I don't see why that shouldn't be a problem. Again, similar to the likes of Amazon Prime, Netflix, YouTube, etc., it all depends on the distributor. As of this moment, we are looking for a distributor. Even during the Christmas period, we've been working really hard and we've invested time to make sure that we find the right distributor, we have the right conversation and dialogue for what is right for the film. And of course, especially when it comes to the rock and roll audience and the TED scene in particular, it's a worldwide community. So we want to make sure that it's accessible and easy to watch for everybody worldwide. So online distribution, once again, would be the best option for that, because people can watch it from the comfort of their own homes, safe and sound, anywhere in the world that they're at. We want it to be as easy and as simple as that. As of this moment, we are trying our hardest. It is a very difficult time at the moment, not just for our industry, but for the entire world as well. We are working really hard, and this film is long overdue. People have been waiting for a long time, and they've been waiting long enough. And granted, a lot of that has been completely out of our control. But now that we finished the film, we want to get this film to you as soon as we possibly can. If there is any way at all that you can help us find a distributor, if you have contacts, please feel free to message the Dandilicious film page with information that you have. One last thing I'd like to mention before we wrap up the video. I understand that there have been people who've been misled by third-party media, third-party news sites, who have made false reports about the film this year. Some of those false reports include the closure of the company due to COVID, even though we announced earlier that day that we had been filming once again after the 4-month hiatus. And also there was another article that the film was coming out on April 23rd, when actually just 2 days prior we had announced formally that the film had been postponed due to the global pandemic. Of course, understandably, people would have taken these articles as gospel news about the film. Without sounding like a particular American, I'm afraid to say that a lot of these third-party sites do reveal fake news about not just Dandilicious, but also about other film companies and film projects as well. If there are any rumours, any hearsay, any word of mouth about the film, or anything you have doubts about, always make sure to come to the Dandilicious film page for your news and updates. Anything that is posted on the Dandilicious page will be official. I'd like to thank you all again for joining me today for this video. Even though the film has been finished, we are still looking for a distributor, and a suitable one as well. We want to give this film the best chance, the best opportunity, and we want to make sure that you at home have the best opportunity to see this film as easily as possible by making it as accessible and available on as many different platforms as we possibly can. I hope everyone has had a lovely new year, and keep up to date on the Dandilicious film page for your updates and for your official news and further announcements as well regarding the film's release. Thank you very much. Stay safe.